Hey guys, thanks for tuning back into Mad Dog Fishing. Well, I'll tell you what, today we're going to talk about how to cast a conventional surf reel. And it doesn't matter if it's a Baitcaster or a conventional offshore reel. Today we're going to show you how to adjust it for casting, how line affects your distance, and the size of your bait. So today, if you want to learn how to use a conventional surf casting reel, hopefully this will help you out. Alright guys, let's start off with the basics on these conventional surf reels. You have a course adjustment. Usually it's right here behind the drag, and then some of them have magnetic cast control. And what this does, you can set the course and you just barely want that sinker to fall and hit the ground without over spooling. If it does, you can adjust the magnetic brake, and what that does, as the spool slows down, the brake engages and slows it down, keeps you from backlashing. Now that sounds simple enough, doesn't it? But always when I cast, I keep my thumb lightly on the spool, and it works like a magnetic brake. But you really don't have to use it with this Squall 2 because it has a built-in magnetic brake. But just out of habit, I keep my thumb on that spool just in case it starts to backlash. And you're going to backlash. It happens to all of us. But the key is practice. You just got to get out and practice, play with the adjustments, figure out how it works for you. And don't worry about distance when you're first starting out. Just get used to casting. You know, whether it's 20 feet, you know, you may want to set your adjustment tight. And then just kind of slowly loosen it up till you're comfortable, you know, where you're not backlashing. So today's setup's a little bit different from yesterday. I'm out here at Alabama Point East in Gulf Shores, Alabama, or technically Orange Beach. We got a strong incoming tide. I've moved my weight up to a 4 ounce, followed by a 20-pound leader and a 4/0 octopusy hook. And if the bluefish show up, it's probably gonna bite me off immediately, but hopefully we can get on a red or something like that. So let's get out here and get this thing casted. We're hooked up on something. I don't know what. I don't think it's a red. Could be a cell cat. Hard heavy. Hard heavy. Definitely not what we're looking for. Well, it looks like we got some rain moving in, as you can see back there. And it's only about 7 o'clock in the morning. I would wait it out, but Just want to come out here, show you how to cast this conventional surf reel, in case you're interested in trying to learn, whether, like I said, whether it's a Baitcaster or one of these conventional reels. The basics are basically the same. And when we get back to the house where it's a little bit quieter, don't have all this ocean and all that in the background, we'll go back over the details. If you got any questions, leave a comment in the comment section below. And yeah, we'll just do that. You still see these boats still going offshore. There's some rain right there. And that's the one I'm worried about right there. That's the one that's going to get me. So we're going to head back in because I got this chest mount on. It's not waterproof when I have the mic hooked up to it. So let's get on back to the house and talk shit. Okay guys, made it back to the house. Decided to put on a little bit lighter color shirt so you can kind of see what's going on. It's not blending in with the black shirt I had on. But before we get into the fundamentals of how these work, I'll just show you a variety of conventional and bait casting reels that you may be interested in using. You know, whether it's a conventional, this is a Penn Jig Master. It's an inexpensive conventional reel. And it will work for surf fishing. It's a really heavy reel, holds a lot of line, and it will handle just about anything you tackle in the surf, probably even offshore as far as bottom fishing. But scored a good deal on these. I use these in my kayak when I'm out trolling for king mackerel. That way if they get wet, I'm not too worried about. They're really simple to break down. And you can actually change out the spool with just a couple of screws. So Penn Jig Master, nice conventional surf reel if you're getting into it. Now let's talk about some of the bait casters. You got low profile ones. As you can see there, that was Ambassador Black Max, and this is a Quantum Competition that I use inshore fishing. And then of course you've got your normal round bait casters. I also use this when I'm out kayaking fishing, whether I'm on a lake or in the back bays. I love these round reels. Been using them for a really long time, from my tournament fishing days, and then moved them over to my cat fishing, and now using them for saltwater fishing. I have to keep these really clean because they don't like salt water too much. Now this is another round bait casting reel. This is the one I was telling you about earlier. This is the Abu Garcia 7000. Which model is this one? This is the 7000i. Really nice reel. I took the paw off of it, which was right there, and I took off the bar and the worm drive just because I didn't want that extra drag. But it's just not the same. I'm just gonna have to order new paws for it and, you know, use these for something else besides surf fishing. Not saying you can't use them for surf fishing. I'm just saying they don't hold up that well. Last but not least, my newest reel to my collection. This is the Penn Squall 2 15 SD. I've been using it for a few days now. Absolutely love this reel. I'm talking about super smooth. It's got a 6:1 gear ratio. It'll hold about 270 yards of 15-pound mono. If I'm not mistaken, it'll hold a whole bunch of braid. Now I've got mono on it right now, and I'm getting about 70 yards on the cast, 75 yards with 4 ounces of weight and bait. If I drop that to say 30-pound Power Pro, I'd probably add another 20 yards to that cast. But I do like monofilament on my conventional surf casting reels, because if you've ever had a backlash with braided line, it's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. Now All these reels have one thing in common, and that's to control the flow of the line out. And it's usually either a knob here, and on these ambassadors, it's over here. And you just tighten that thing up, and it literally slows the line going off the reel and keeps it from backlashing. And I'm going to show you how to set that here in just a few minutes. But even on this Jig Master, same thing. You got it right here on the right. You know, you just tighten it to slow down the speed of the spool, because if the spool's spinning faster than the line going out, that's what causes the backlash. And so you need to learn how to use your brakes on these things, and it will save you a lot of headaches. And that's really going to be the easiest way to learn. Keep it set kind of tight. I recommend, if you're going to start with a Baitcaster for bass fishing, get you a practice plug, maybe 3/4 of an ounce, and start with that. You know, set your magnetic brake control. If you need to do it a little coarser, that's what this knob's over here for. And then you can fine tune it over here. And like I said, we'll go over on how to adjust that in just a second. But once you start using these, it becomes addictive. When I was bass fishing, this is all I used, unless I was throwing really ultralight lures. Then I would fall back on my spinning reels. Now on this, my newest reel is set up just like a Baitcaster. It has a cast control over here, and it has the magnetic cast control over here. And so what I can do a coarse adjustment on this side, and then I can fine tune it over here on the left. You know, when I change from a 3 ounce to a 4 ounce, sometimes I don't need to adjust it, because I always, whatever Baitcaster I use, I keep my thumb on the spool. I don't apply a lot of pressure, but as it's coming near the end of the cast, I will apply just a little bit of pressure. It's just habit. And you know, you'll learn your technique as time goes on. Like I said, practice makes perfect. Now, how to set this, the best way to set these cast controls, magnetic bait control, is to get your lure on there. We'll use this Quantum Competition. Now that's a 3/8 of an ounce glass minnow jig. I use in the surf, I use it in the back bays. Bonita love these things, and so do Spanish mackerel. And the Spanish mackerel will bite through your line if you don't have a heavy enough leader, but we'll save that for another day. But all you do is you just let your weight, get it reeled up some, and you just mash that button. And if that lure should be able to free fall without, when it hits the ground, it should not backlash. I think I got some moss down here or something. That I do. Oh. All right, I just backed off on the cast control, and you see how it's starting to backlash. Just a little bit too light. And you're really supposed to do this standing up. See? So I tightened it up just a little bit. Perfect. Now, that's the setting I would recommend for anybody getting started. Is you want to set it tight enough that the lure's going to fall slow, but when you see it hits the ground, it doesn't backlash. I know it's probably hard to see that line. I may do it on the conventional here in a minute. But now I can adjust this magnetic brake control, and it'll give me just a little bit more play, or it'll increase it. You just keep adjusting it till you're comfortable with your And see, the magnetic brake control is really nice. Oh, mosquitoes like feasting on me down there. But the magnetic cast control is really great because at the end of the cast is really where it comes into play. Where you can course set it from right here. When you cast, depending on how heavy or how light your lure is and how much force you put behind your cast, this magnetic control will slow the spool down towards the end of the cast and keep it from backlashing. And it may still backlash a little bit, you know, but you can pull out about 10 or 15 yards. But if it's set too light, you're gonna get what they call a bird's nest, and it's ugly. And you'll spend, if you try to pick it out, spend up to 30 minutes trying to pick out a bird's nest just to save your line. A lot of times people just cut their line and start over. But best way to do is just set that cast control, let that lure hit the ground. If the spool doesn't overrun, you're in good shape. And I'd start with it a little bit tight in the beginning, get used to throwing it, you know, 10, 15 yards, then slowly back off of it and start increasing your casting power and to the point you're comfortable with it. And like I said, it's going to change until you get really good at it. You're going to be changing this a lot depending on the weight of your lure, whether you're surf fishing, bass fishing, catfishing, or whatever. So that's really all there is to learning how to cast these bait casters and conventional reels. The only difference with these conventional reels is you notice where on this Ambassador we have a line control, and it lays the line evenly across the spool when you reel it in, and then when you cast it, it also isolates and takes this line off the spool evenly, which is really nice. Excuse me. But on these conventional reels, you have to do it manually. I usually let my thumb right up here, and I'll push the line to one side or the other. I do it without even thinking about it. Now, if I'm in the heat of the moment with a fish, sometimes I might forget about it for a second or two. But you do have to guide the line with your finger or your thumb. And the reason people use these conventional reels is because there's less drag, you can get more distance. But these do require a little bit more practice. But if you're looking for distance, these type reels are the way to go. But if you're just looking for something easy to work with, to get started off with, I would suggest one with a Squall does make one with a level line on it, which is what that bar is. It goes back and forth, and you can get it without. Just preference. I'm getting away from anything that has a paw in it, because the paws are really fine teeth that runs across a worm gear, and it wears out pretty quick, especially when you're casting heavy baits surf fishing. Now, if I was just going out deep dropping for a snapper, it really wouldn't matter, because I'm not putting a whole lot of pressure constantly on that paw. Bass fishing's a little bit different. You still wear the paws out, but you're casting a much lighter lure and in a lot shorter distance, so it doesn't get near the wear and tear as it does surf fishing. Anyway, guys, I hope that helped you out. If you got a question, leave a comment in the comment section below. You know, it's the only thing I can really tell you is to get out and practice using that cast control knob on the side. Keep it a little tight at first, and then practice working its way loose. And if it's windy, that's a whole nother factor. A lot of these things will backlash. If you're casting in windy conditions, you may want to tighten it up. But when it's real windy conditions, I kind of fall back on my spinning reels. It's just less having to worry about. But anyway, guys, I hope that helped. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. It means a lot to me, helps out the channel, and I'm just super excited to where we're going with this. And hopefully get back out on the water next week. I'm feeling a little bit better, hopefully next week. And I've got a few clients next week, but in between them, hopefully I can get out and I think I'm gonna do a trash fish catch and cook. I mean, what do y'all think? Catfish, mullet, anything I can catch. Just throw it all in the frying pan. No seasoning whatsoever. Just clean it and drop it in some oil. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the water. Oh.